7. The word of the mysterious Shogun of Shadows was spreading throughout the elemental countries like a wildfire. This mysterious figure was said to have influential power over several countries, even the cages themselves, and was making moves in secret that will one day make him master of the world. No one could get a definite description of him, but what Tsunade saw when they met was drawn into a sketch, and put into the bingo book with a large bounty on the man's head. As it stood, many of the major country with their daimyos were getting nervous, as some from smaller countries, who had been corrupt and cruel in keeping the people in their lands oppressed, had met very violent ends. Each one having their heads branded with the kanji for shogun's justice, with the wealth taken from the people being returned to the people. When it came to ruling over the land, the shogun appointed one of the daimyo's family members, who were in exile, were not corrupt, and would rule fairly over them. Other members of the family, who would try to do the opposite, were either met with being crippled beyond the point of ruling, or death for crimes against their people. In short, the Shogun of Shadows was becoming a hero to the people, and Senju Tsunade was hating every second of it. It's bad enough I have to deal with the damn brat, but now this new figure makes himself known to the world, and then kills one of my jounin while the other is practically broken beyond repair. Thought Tsunade angrily while trying to figure out while Niji's injuries she could heal, weren't. She was baffled by this. The burns she could treat were made from the fire caused in the explosion, with the explosive tags going off with the oil in the room. But even if the oil had caused the burns, it couldn't stop her from healing them, and deduced these weren't healing because of some outside element she wasn't seeing. It was possible there was something in the explosive tags that could alter the fire's elemental properties, but they were exceedingly rare, and would have to be older than her late grandfather, or know someone still alive from that time to know such places. Not even Hamura, Kaharu, and Danzo knew where to find such things, with all three of them being some of the oldest people in the village. So what could possibly have altered the elemental compounds of the fire itself that could have burned Niji at such a level to prevent her medical skills from healing him? She felt the answer was staring right in front of her, but Tsunade couldn't see it, and that was just pissing the woman off more than anything right now. "Tsunade-sama, the fire daimyo is here to see you," replied Shizune before she left the room without a response from the older woman. "She's still bitter about my actions against Naruto." Typical, thought Tsunade while she stood up when the fire daimyo walked in, his fan open, and waving it at himself. "Hello Gondame Hokage. I would normally be happy visiting here, but circumstances in the world are making my life miserable, and the source of it has been this very village," said the fire daimyo before sitting down, and his two samurai bodyguards were by his side. "My sincerest apologizes for that, daimyo-sama, but the source of it all isn't the leaf like others have no doubt said, but rather the rogue Kyuubi Jinchuriki, and his associates he is around. They have been making themselves a thorn in our side and thus a thorn in yours too," explained Tsunade, with the fire daimyo nodding while he kept on fanning himself. "Perhaps. How is the Uchiha doing? He was beaten up by your retrieval team some time ago. Is the boy still healing?" the fire daimyo inquired, with Tsunade nodding. "Sadly yes. The injuries he received months ago were brutal. I'm still having a hard time believing the retrieval team would disregard my orders to bring the boy back relatively unharmed," answered Tsunade with a sigh following her statement. "Meaning Konoha shinobi are sadly lacking discipline. I also heard about what happened with the Hyuga boy having half his body burned, and the suspect being this Shogun of Shadows I've been hearing about," stated the fire daimyo, and Tsunade wincing at his words. "I have been working with Jiraiya on that end to find out the Shogun's identity and his known associates in hopes they can lead us to him so justice can be served," explained Tsunade while the daimyo nodded in his head. "I have to confess, Tsunade-san, my court and family are feeling a tad nervous in regards to this Shogun, and want this matter handled immediately. He's getting too much support from the minor countries, and even some of the major ones are no doubt showing they aren't against him. My people in my own country are now taking sides, with some supporting my rule and others supporting the Shogun, with other major countries having the same thing happen to them. He is becoming a threat to my rule, Tsunade, and if this Shogun were to team up with Uzumaki Naruto, who do you think will feel the Shogun's wrath if allowed to rule over Fire Country?" replied the fire daimyo, with the Hokage looking nervous, since the Shogun could order the liquidation of the leaf if the man did come to reach such a level of authoritative power. "Rest assured, daimyo-sama, we will have Uzumaki Naruto, his associates, and this Shogun of Shadows brought down as soon as possible," stated Tsunade, with the fire daimyo frowning at her. "For your sake, Tsunade, I hope you are correct, and should you fail, His possible dislike for Konoha will be something we both have in common, replied the fire daimyo before he got out of his chair and left the room. Any word on the Akatsuki? Asked Tsunade, knowing Jiraiya was outside the window hearing the entire conversation. Some. My spy told me they have been hit hard recently. Hoshigaki Kisame was killed first in a confrontation with Naruto earlier this year, Sasori of the Red Sands. And Deidara the explosives master from Iwa recently perished not that long ago in Suna while they were fighting Sabaku no Gara. With the Akatsuki severely weakened, my spy believes the leader of the Akatsuki will handle things himself, and personally go after Naruto for the Kyuubi, stated Jiraiya with Tsunade nodding. Hopefully, we can make a move during the time that happens, and capture Naruto in a weakened state along with the rest of his group, replied Tsunade with Jiraiya grimacing. This leader of the Akatsuki isn't a joke, Tsunade. To be the leader of the Akatsuki, you have to be freakishly powerful, and to keep someone like Itachi in line. Said Jiraiya while leaving the rest unsaid, knowing Tsunade would get the hint. I understand, Jiraiya. Still, I want your spy to let us know the moment this leader makes his move against Naruto so a team can be ready to capture the brat, and maybe kill the Akatsuki's leader in the process. Commanded Tsunade with the Sannin in front of her nodding. One more thing, Tsunade, I think Naruto may have gotten a hold of another summoning contract, Jiraiya said with Tsunade narrowing her eyes at him. Which one? Asked Tsunade with Jiraiya looking nervous. I don't know. The toads wouldn't tell me anything, or rather, they were commanded not to tell me anything, Jiraiya said, and Tsunade's eyes widened at the implication of such a thing. Few summons have the power to do that. Stated Tsunade while Jiraiya nodded since he remembered the conversation he had a few days ago with Pa and Ma since they told him about Naruto's newly acquired summons having paid them a visit. I know. When I asked who visited them, I saw fear in the eyes of Ma and Pa with the elder toad that outranks them looking so humbled. It was like nothing I've ever seen before with them, explained Jiraiya while scratching his head. Do you know what summons have the power to do that? Asked Tsunade with Jiraiya shaking his head no. Not that I can remember. What I do know, is that this summons is very powerful, and very high up on the hierarchical ladder. For the toads to be shaken up by this, it can only mean Naruto found an ancient summoning contract that outranks the toads by far. And it clear this new summons is pissed off at them for cutting out a certain Kyuubi Jinchuriki from the toad contract. Said Jiraiya with Tsunade frowning and decided to get some answers from her own summons. Making her way outside the Hokage Tower, Tsunade summoned the slug boss Katsuayu to see the female slug boss summons one among a small handful of them in existence looking at her. And the fifth Hokage was surprised to her so worn out. Jiraiya noticed it too and saw the same symptoms on the slug boss he saw on Ma, Pa, and the elder toad sage himself. Jiraiya was willing to bet a week of research material from the hot springs that Manda the snake summons of Orochimaru was suffering the same way right now. Katsuayu, what happened? Asked Tsunade, as she was going to ask her about news of a summons making a power play move against the toads, but now she was wondering just what happened to her own. And saw the slug boss look down with tired eyes. Uzumaki Naruto happened, milady. He possesses a new summons, who have paid me, and the toads a visit. I wouldn't be surprised if they also paid Manda a visit as well. Stated Katsuayu with Tsunade looking at her in horror while Jiraiya grimaced since his current suspicions about the boy having a new summons were indeed true. What is the name of the brat's summons? How can they push you, the toads, and even the snakes around? Asked Tsunade with Katsuayu shivering. I cannot tell you the name of the summons Uzumaki Naruto possesses, for they have forbid us all from telling anyone. What I can tell you is that the reason behind their authoritative power is because they are one of the most ancient summons in all of the elemental countries. They were thought to be lost forever, but Naruto found them, and signed the contract. The boy told them of your betrayal, and if there is one thing this particular summons despises above all things is betrayal. They are holding a tribunal against myself, the toads, and the snakes for crimes against Uzumaki Naruto. Stated Katsuayu with Tsunade looking shocked and pissed off that some summons would have the nerve to do that to her own. What? Are you serious? Exclaimed Tsunade with Jiraiya not liking this one bit. Extremely, milady. This is no joke. Not only that, but the Shinigami himself will be there to preside over this, and the various other boss summons of all kinds will also attend this. Depending on what is decided, we will be cut off from being summoned by you, the snakes by Orochimaru, and the toads by Jiraiya ever again. In short, if you go into a battle against Naruto, and try to summon us, You will fail, explained Katsuayu with Tsunade looking livid and Jiraiya being the same way. That means my sage mode will be removed too. Thought Jiraiya, knowing without Ma and Pa to help him perform that state he would be effectively crippled. I am sorry milady. I tried to defend your actions against the summons, but they would not hear my words. And called them pathetic excuses from years of being subservient to a spiteful woman who has forgotten half of the bloodline she is descended from, stated Katsuayu with Tsunade looking pissed off. They had some nerve to say that about me. Fine. Let them say it. I know where I stand in my position against the damn brat and I'm going to stick by it no matter what, replied Tsunade with Katsuayu nodding. I expected no less from you milady. However, should the tribunal not go in our favor, the contract that you, Jiraiya, and Orochimaru have will remove your names. Stated Katsuayu before she left them and Tsunade smashed the ground with her fist in anger. Damn that brat. His summons dares goes against us. Threatening to take away our own summons away like this via a summons tribunal no less? There hasn't been one in the history of the elemental countries when summons first came into existence. I'll rip that maggot's body in half, exclaimed Tsunade while Jiraiya was thinking over what the slug boss just told them. At the very least, Orochimaru is in the same boat as us with Manda facing the tribunal, said Jiraiya with some hope in his voice. I don't care about Orochimaru right now Jiraiya. All I care about it right now beating the shit out of Naruto the next time I see him. Tsunade shot back with a death glare in her eyes, Earth Country several miles from Iwa. You have a lot of nerve asking me to meet you here boy. Give me one good reason why I shouldn't have my forces take you down? Replied the Sandaime Tsuchika Jinoki with his granddaughter Kuratsuchi with him and large man by the name of Akatsuchi. Because that is an action of a foolish recently minted Kage. You don't look like one to me given your age, replied Naruto with Inoki scowling at him. Any other reason aside from my age making you underestimate me? Asked Inoki with Naruto smirking. I took care of a rogue missing nin for you that was a part of the Akatsuki organization. I believe his name Deidara, answered Naruto with Inoki looking shocked that one of his rogue shinobi was taken down by the Uzumaki while Akatsuchi and Kuratsuchi were showing angry faces. You killed Deidara, exclaimed Kuratsuchi, as she was getting ready to destroy him, and only stopped when Inoki raised his hand. What proof do you have that he died by your hands? I heard he attacked Suna a short time ago, replied Inoki knowing that only those fighting Deidara would know how he met his end. I was there fighting him. The Kezakage can confirm it. As for Deidara, he blew himself up while trying to kill us all in the process. I was able to stop him by using various impersonal means that saved Suna from annihilation, explained Naruto with the Sandaime Tsuchikage nodding since that was something Deidara would indeed do. I see. I suppose a thank you is in order since Deidara was out of control, replied Inoki while Kuratsuchi and Akatsuchi looked at him in shock. Grandfather! Exclaimed Kuratsuchi while the old man didn't even look at her. Stop it Kuratsuchi. We both know Deidara was out of control and lived only to blow things up regardless of who he targeted, said Inoki seeing Naruto nod. I'm also here to inform you that I'm taking Han and Roshi away from Iwa. They are no longer safe here, Naruto added while the Tsuchikage looked ticked by that. I can respect the fact. I do not respect the fact you are taking away Iwa's Jinchuriki, and have the nerve to say it to my face. Inoki shot back while Kuratsuchi and Akatsuchi were moving slightly into a fighting stance. You seem to be under the impression that your side can stop me. Han, Roshi. Come here my brothers, replied Naruto with the two Jinchuriki coming out from the shadows and surprised Iwa's side by standing by the Uzumaki. Han, Roshi, what are you doing? Why? Inoki asked and demanded of the two Jinchuriki. Because he came to help us Sandaime Tsuchikage. We were never like an Iwa. We are hated for what we hold and seen nothing more as weapons to be thrown aside. Uzumaki Naruto is like us, came to us when he could have done nothing, and provided weapons to defend ourselves from the Akatsuki. He gave us a means to live, to be treated fairly, and without hateful eyes glaring at us just for being Jinchuriki. We are going to help him fight the Akatsuki and achieve what neither of us have had before now, a chance at having a life we can call our own, stated Roshi with the Tsuchikage frowning at him. Your life is here in Iwa. Both of you are Iwa shinobi, Inoki declared while Han and Roshi shook their heads. If that were true, you would treat us like Iwa shinobi, and not as cheap weapons you can throw away when it's convenient you. Replied Han softly while the Tsuchikage was looking ready to blow his top. I'm warning you too. Don't join him. Your purpose in life is to defend Iwa from any threats to it. That includes the Kyuubi Jinchuriki. I'm ordering you to put him down now," commanded Inoki with Han and Roshi looking at one another before their eyes went to Naruto currently staring at the Tsuchikage with unwavering eyes. "Whatever you two decide to do regarding the Tsuchikage's command, I will respect your decision, and do absolutely nothing to stop you from killing me," replied Naruto. As the two Jinchuriki looked at him, then the Tsuchikage, and back again at the Uzumaki before they kneeled at his feet. "Our loyalty, respect, and the power that is sealed within our bodies is yours to command, Uzumaki Naruto." "Our one true lord and master," replied Han and Roshi at the same time with the Sandaime Tsuchikage looking livid. "Insolent whelps. I'll teach you whippersnappers a thing or two about respect after I deal with the brat you proclaim to serve over me," exclaimed Inoki, as he began moving to engage Naruto, but found two important things out the hard way regarding the blonde, and it happened in the span of seconds. 1. The Uzumaki was very fast. 2. The Uzumaki was very strong. Kuratsuchi and Akatsuchi were quickly knocked away by Naruto before they could move to assist their Tsuchikage in battle, if you call it that. The Sandaime Tsuchikage was the oldest living Kage to date, having survived 3 shinobi wars, countless battles, and had gained years of wisdom in the process along with battle scars on his wrinkled old body to prove it. Not to mention his occasionally bad back had its moments disabling him when he shot up out of his chair quickly at important and shocking times in his life when doing it on instinct. Among those old wounds, scar, and memories of the past did the Tsuchikage recall the speed of an Uzumaki when fighting in pure taijutsu. The last time he saw it was during the end of the First Shinobi War, and Inoki was a recently promoted Chunin at the time on a mission with his squad. They came along a single Uzumaki on his own mission from Whirlpool, and the idea of capturing him for information had appealed to Inoki's Jounin squad leader. It turned out to be the last mistake the Iwa Jounin would ever make, as that Uzumaki in particular had beaten the entire squad with the exception of Inoki himself quite literally to death. And the future Tsuchikage was damn near into that category. It was by sheer luck or chance that an Iwa medic Nin was coming back with her squad a minutes later after the Uzumaki left, and brought him back to Iwa to be healed before the second Tsuchikage asked for a report on what happened. It was later discovered that the Uzumaki shinobi that destroyed Inoki's team was one of the sons of the late Uzumaki Genshin and was taught this berserk taijutsu style by his own father. It was also because of that horrible beating that the very same Iwa Kunoichi for a medic Nin that healed the future Tsuchikage had fallen in love with him during his recovery and became his future wife. If only the Sandaime Tsuchikage knew of the irony that was occurring right now. Now it seemed history was repeating itself, as Uzumaki Naruto was beating the stuffing out of him just like the blonde's predecessor did ages ago. All the moves, the hits, the impact of Naruto's fist, and even the pain itself brought back memories of that moment to the Tsuchikage. A painful knee to the lower torso sent the now Tsuchikage bouncing hard on the ground with each impact making holes like the ones you see when skipping stone on water, and went through several trees. Moving quickly, Naruto dodged a punch from the large Iwa shinobi, grabbed the offending arm, broke it, and then threw the man well over 100 feet. Acting on instinct, Naruto ducked under a kick aimed at him barely a second after the impressive throw, and did a low feet tripping sweep kick to rob Kuratsuchi of the ground underneath her. She quickly rebounded back to her feet, but was instantly hit with a hard punch to the face, and sent flying back with a bloody broken nose. "Had enough? I can do this all day," Naruto said while Kuratsuchi growled at him from her down position and Akatsuchi was struggling to get up with his one broken arm acting as dead weight. "Why, you insignificant little," Kuratsuchi began, but stopped when Naruto pointed to the round body of her grandfather, and saw he was really messed up. "Take your Tsuchikage back to your village, Iwa shinobi. I sense that without immediate medical attention, you will soon need to find a new Tsuchikage," stated Naruto with the kunoichi in front of him was looking at her grandfather to see he was indeed in a serious life-threatening situation. "Damn it," thought Kuratsuchi, as she looked from her grandfather to Naruto, and glared at the Uzumaki. "Don't give me that look, Kuratsuchi-san. Your grandfather was in the wrong. He'll soon realize that when he recovers from his injuries. Provided you get him back to Iwa in time for that to even happen," Naruto stated while the Iwa kunoichi limped her way over to the badly injured Tsuchikage with Akatsuchi doing the same. "We won't forget this. You've made an enemy of Iwa," stated Kuratsuchi before they left with the old Kage while Naruto just shook his head. Do you think Iwa will retaliate, Naruto-sama? Asked Han once they were further away from Iwa. First, don't call me Naruto-sama. I'm your friend first and leader second. As for Iwa, I say give the Tsuchikage and his granddaughter time to reflect on things. If they become a problem in the future for us, I will take care of them myself, answered Naruto while sensing the two Jinchuriki beside him on either side were now looking at each other. You want them to join our cause against Orochimaru and Konoha? Asked Roshi with Naruto nodding. Yes. Does that trouble either you? Asked Naruto with Han and Roshi looking at one another again. We have mixed feelings, answered Han with Naruto nodding. Understood. If you want no part of Iwa's fall in the event such a thing happens, I will not be angry with you, and even consider make some kind of negotiable concession to Iwa if it helps prevent a conflict. Stated Naruto with them becoming less tense. They didn't care much for Iwa, but they didn't want to see it destroyed over this summoning world. The summoning world where all summons resided in was a massive world unto itself where all kinds of summoning animals lived. Dogs, cats, insects of all kinds, and beasts of all sizes lived in this world. It was ruled in terms of territories. No summons could even enter the territory of another summons unless given permission or risk a possible war that would not end well. Of course, to prevent a never-ending war, it was decided that should a dispute arise, a tribunal would be convened. And the matter be resolved with all the other summons in the summoning world being witnesses to the tribunal. And right now the first one to ever take was being convened. Manda, Gamabunta, and Katsuayu were chained down in a large circular room with their bindings having the power to prevent them from being summoned by those that signed the contract. Pa, and the elder Toad Sage were in front of Gamabunta with chains of their own that would prevent them from being summoned either. All around them, the various summons of their world were speaking like humans do with their own public tribunals before they started before a loud roar silenced them all. Descending from the sky, or in this case the large ceiling of the building, the massive ever-imposing presence of the dragon boss Bahamut flew down and landed on a platform which further intimidated the currently accused before him. The dragon boss's eyes were filled with fury. As he glared at each one, they shivered in fear, not meeting his eyes, and tried to look at something else. They had each met Bahamut on a few rare occasions in their lives back when they were a little slug, tadpole, and baby snake that would hide behind their parents when in the mighty creature's presence. Hear ye! Hear ye! This tribunal is now in session. The dragon summons of the Uzumaki clan versus the toad summons of Konoha, the slug summons of the Senju clan, and snake summons of Orochimaru of the Sannin. The charges are betrayal of a summoner, assisting one summoner in the betrayal of another summoner, breaking the vow to never reveal a prophecy to a summoner, and conspiracy to control the very outcome of a foretold prophecy. There are also the additional charges of negligence, dereliction of duty, and false accusations made against a summoner. Proclaimed a malevolent voice before a frightening figure even Bahamut dared not challenge had appeared and sat on a throne above the dragon boss summons. How do you three answer the charges against you? Demanded Bahamut with eyes blazing with fury. Not guilty, exclaimed Manda. Not guilty, called out Katsuayu. Not guilty, answered Gamabunta, Pa, and the elder Toad Sage at the same time. Will the witnesses come forward? Will the witnesses come brought forth, said the Shinigami, as he was watched the dragon boss summons nod, and then looked directly at them. The prosecution calls forth the Kyuubi no Kitsune to testify on our behalf, answered Bahamut with the summoning animals watching from all over whispering, talking, and clicking in their own language to one another. Silence. Kyuubi no Kitsune come forward, bellowed the Shinigami, and soon a second malevolent presence was felt by everyone that made the group of defendants shake even more in fear. I am here at your command to speak on behalf of the dragon boss summons in my vessel Shinigami-sama, proclaimed Kyuubi, as he bowed respectfully towards the almighty deity, and then looked at the defendants with bloodlust in his eyes. Then speak. Tell us all of the life your vessel has had and how he was treated by those around him, commanded the Shinigami. Shinigami-sama, I must protest the Kyuubi from speaking. He is a demon, who will speak lies, and twist truths, exclaimed Gamabunta before a blast of lightning from the Shinigami shocked the massive toad boss. Be silent. In this tribunal there will be no lies or half-truths, for I see all that would be from such words. You speak them here or prevent the truth being heard, then you will be severely punished, exclaimed the Shinigami with all the summons around him visibly shaking. I am the Kyuubi no Kitsune. one of the 9 bijou, and I swear upon my 9 tails that what I speak today is the utmost truth. My vessel's name is Uzumaki Naruto, formerly of Konoha in Fire Country. He is the son of Namikaze Minato and Uzumaki Kushina, with the latter formerly being of Whirlpool Country along with that of the Uzumaki clan. The life vessel has not been a pleasant one, and it was in part thanks to the summons that stand accused of crimes against him along with the dragon summons. My vessel has suffered for holding me. He has beaten, stabbed, poisoned, and forced to live alone while eating garbage for food in order to survive. He was betrayed by the Toads, the 2 Sannin that have the nerve to call themselves his godparents, and has been abused in almost every sense of it all. Yet he remained loyal to one day prove to the people in the village that they were wrong about him. That he was not a monster, not a demon, and certainly not myself in human form. Many of you I sense doubt my words despite the Shinigami proclaiming earlier to see through lies and half-truths. So I ask that the memories of what I have seen through his own eyes be shown now to all of you to see for yourself whether or not I speak the truth. Explained Kyuubi, with the Shinigami nodding before using one of his many powers as a deity to make the memories of Uzumaki Naruto arise from within the fox's mind to appear above them all to watch. The summons around them watched in horror, as they saw the abuse Naruto went through, while the harsher forms of the abuse being on his birthday. A time summons shake with rage at the actions of these humans within this village. They finally saw the memory of how Naruto fought Uchiha Sasuke, won if just barely, carried the injured traitor back to the village, and was yelled at by Senjutsu for hurting the fool even though it was part of the mission to use force. How a shadow clone under a henge of a simple bird had overheard the conversation between Tsunade and Jiraiya about the bleak future they had planned for him. Needless to say, it got all the summons around the group of accused summons to shake with rage not since felt in all their years being alive. What is worse, Shinigami-sama, is we have learned from Naruto himself that Konoha betrayed Whirlpool and destroyed it from the inside after the Toads told Jiraiya of the Sannin about the prophecy the Dragon Sage told me. They wanted to control the future child of prophecy, knowing that the child would hold Kyuubi and only an Uzumaki can do that. They knew by securing Uzumaki Kushina after she became the next vessel of Kyuubi, they could secure her, and any offspring she had that would be the next vessel along with being the potential child. Explained Bahamut, and the Toads looked away in shame. I am not a part of their plans, Bahamut-sama. I have only served Orochimaru during this time and he has always hates Konoha. I do not deserve to be punished alongside Theza, exclaimed Manda, as he was shocked once more with lightning from the Shinigami. Did I give you permission to talk yet, Manda? No? Then you will be quiet, bellowed the Shinigami, and the boss summons of the snake lowered his already aching body low in submission. The snakes are guilty by association with Orochimaru being their summoner and in defiance of the Shinigami himself. The Toads and Jiraiya of the Sannin are both guilty in their actions against my summoner, as you have seen with his memories. The Toad broke the sacred vow and law to never reveal information about a prophecy when told by a summons. Their summoner dared to manipulate the Uzumaki prophecy and dared to control the Uzumaki bloodline by thinning out their numbers to at least a handful. Katsuayu's own summoner is the current Hokage of Konoha, and she betrays the very Uzumaki blood in her veins she has from Uzumaki Mito. Bellowed Bahamut and saw Katsuayu looking down while the dragon boss snarled at her. I've heard enough. I have seen the Kyuubi's memories of the boy's treatment. I have heard from Bahamut of the crimes committed against Uzumaki Naruto and all of the Uzumaki clan in general. It is clear that all of you are guilty of crimes listed and more that you all have yet to be charged with by the dragons. Do you have anything to say for yourselves before I pronounce your punishment? Proclaimed the Shinigami, with the accused looking at each other. We only did what we thought was right, Shinigami-sama. Jiraiya was our summoner. He had a right to know about his influence in the prophecy, said Pa before he was struck ruthlessly with lightning from the Shinigami. Do not play me for a fool, old toad. You knew the rules and your excuse is a hollow one. The Shinigami shot back and saw the other summons watching the proceedings were calling for judgment against the accused. It didn't take a genius to know what they thought of them. Guilty, 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 guilty. The words being spoken by all the summons around them, spoken through their mouths, clicks of mandibles, the angry buzzing, and stomping of their feet while loudly beating their chests. Bahamut for his part stayed silent through the whole thing, as he watched the toads, the slug, and the snake tremble in fear knowing that the Shinigami was thinking along the same lines. The death god did not care to hear silver-tongued, honey-dripping words, filled with remorse, or that they wished to redeem themselves in his deathly eyes. Even now, they could see that the Shinigami held them in little to no regard in being worthy of staying summons, or even keeping their contracts at all. If Shinigami had wished it, he could strip them of all of their powers, skills, rights as summons, and their very territory be surrendered to the dragons as compensation. In regards to the toad, slug, and snake summons that stand accused of high crimes against the dragons and their summoner, I find them all guilty. Proclaimed the Shinigami with the witnesses in the stands going into a frenzy of cheer at seeing justice being done. Show the snakes mercy. Please Shinigami-sama. Exclaimed Manda before he was struck once more with lightning. Silence. I hereby pass judgment on the guilty parties. Neither the toads, the slugs, or the snakes may be summoned by their current summoners ever again. The names of each summoner, Jiraiya, Tsunade, and Orochimaru are to be removed from the contracts immediately. Your territory will be put under the control of the dragons for them to manage how they see fit. Any decision you make must go through them for approval. No one will be allowed to sign the summoning scrolls of the toads, the slugs, and the snakes for the next 500 years, commanded the Shinigami with each guilty party looking at the deity in shock. How will our summoners know of your decision so they cannot summon us? Asked Katsuyu. Each of you will send a subordinate to each of your summoner to inform them of my ruling. They will not disclose what went on here, only that you were found guilty, and that your contacts with them are cancelled. Nothing more. Since the snakes have a summoner aside from Orochimaru under their contract by the name of one Mitarashi Anko. She will be the only person for the next 500 years to summon them unless the dragons themselves give Manda their permission to sign someone else. Commanded the Shinigami with each one nodding and the look of defeat was in their eyes. There is just one more thing I would like to say before this tribunal ends, Shinigami-sama, said Kyuubi much to everyone else's surprise. Even Bahamut did not expect the Bijou to speak out and talk to the death god. Speak Kyuubi, commanded the Shinigami and gave the fox the floor. As you know, the Akatsuki are hunting the Bijou, and do not care if our host dies in the process of getting us. However, because of the Yondaime splitting my power in half before sealing it into himself, I am incomplete, so in the event my host were to die for any reason, I will not return like the others would, explained Kyuubi while everyone took this in. Your point, Kyuubi, asked Bahamut. Before I leave here to return to my vessel, I ask that the Shinigami restore my other half upon my person so that in the event Uzumaki Naruto does die, I am not lost to the ages, and can one day return to the world. Only Shinigami-sama has the power to do that since the soul of the man residing in his stomach is tied to my other half needed to come back to life. Answered Kyuubi with the Shinigami narrowing his eyes at him. Your explanation sounds selfish. Why should I even consider granting such a request to you? Asked the Shinigami with the Kyuubi keeping his head bowed. Because my vessel wishes it, answered Kyuubi much to the shock of everyone, even the Shinigami himself since there was no lying, and sensed the fox speak only truth. Lies. You would seek to break free of your prison and kill everything around you, Konoha included, exclaimed Gamabunta before he was painfully struck by lightning from the Shinigami. Silence, Toad Boss. You claim your vessel wants you whole, Kyuubi? Why is that? Replied the Shinigami since he wanted the boy's reason for this request. My vessel is a strange one. Always has been and always will be in my opinion. When I told him how his father split me in half and sealed away the part that would allow me to rebuild myself after a time should he die, he wanted to know if there was any way for him to reverse it. I told them there wasn't. I told him only you had that power and to summon you just for that was not worth his life being sacrificed. I was at the end of my days being with a vessel I could have true friendship with for the first time in the long years since my creation. When I was about to be summoned to this tribunal, he told me to ask you for this small mercy since it was probably the only time I would ever have the chance to ask. And wouldn't get another one like it ever again. Explained Kyuubi with the Shinigami nodding since this was the one and only chance the fox could have to ask such a thing without Naruto summoning him. Indeed. Your summoner is as wise as he is bold. You have made his life miserable for the first 12 years of it and even tried to kill him on more than one occasion. Still, for your vessel to have you ask me such a thing not for yourself, but on his own behalf is nothing short of remarkable in my eyes. I will grant the request, replied the Shinigami with everyone looking shocked. Shinigami-sama, you can't. The fox is an evil vile beast. He has clearly poisoned and corrupted the mind of his vessel. Exclaimed the elder toad sage before lightning from the Shinigami struck him and nearly killed the oldest of the toads. Enough. I've had enough of you and the others speaking out of turn. Leave my sight now, bellowed the Shinigami before the group vanished. After they were gone, the Shinigami opened his mouth, and reached into it before pulling out the soul of Namikaze Minato. With his blade in one hand, the deity cut the soul open before reaching in, and extracting the much massive ball of energy from it that was the Kyuubi's other half. The Namikaze's soul pleaded with the Shinigami to stop what he was doing, but was ignored by the death god. And let the white energy that turned into a nine-tailed fox howl at being freed before rushing right into the other. Kyuubi himself howled at the feeling of being complete once more, its body becoming larger again, and stopped at its original height that he possessed before the Yondaime separated him in two. Thank you, Shinigami-sama. You won't regret this, replied Kyuubi before leaving the death god's presence. I better not, for your sake, Bijou, the Shinigami shot back. Elsewhere, some neutral location. You showed up. I'm glad, said Naruto while standing across from the man that was known as Pine and his partner Conan. That depends on your point of view, replied Pine with Naruto smirking at him. You still want to capture me for Kyuubi. Even now, the temptation to just fight me, and take him out of my body is almost too much for you to stand, Naruto said while seeing Pine narrow his eyes at him. Your message stated it was worth my time talking to you. Proceed before I change my mind, Pine shot back and Naruto's smirk left him while his face became deadly serious. Indeed. Tell me this one thing, Pine, do you value family? Those that have Uzumaki blood in their veins, asked Naruto with Pine's body going stiff and Conan going tense. I see Itachi told you a great deal about me. He's spying for you, Pine surmised with Naruto shrugging since there was no reason to deny it. Yes. He was also spying for Konoha before I turned him away from the village. Now his loyalty to me alone, replied Naruto with Pine narrowing his eyes at him. Not for much longer. I'll kill him myself, Pine countered with Naruto shaking his head no. You might want to hold off on that for later, Pine. Right now, we need to talk about us, and our future in working together to forge an everlasting peace, replied Naruto with his opposition looking at him like he was crazy. So you would surrender yourself and the other Jinchuriki to be used in our cause, stated Pine with Naruto letting out a chuckle and shaking his head no once more. Hardly. What I'm suggesting doesn't involve the killing of all 9 Jinchuriki for the Bijou they hold, explained Naruto with Pine narrowing his eyes at him. Then we have nothing to discuss, replied Pine with Naruto raising an eyebrow at him. Are you sure about that? Not even the fact we are both related to the same clan? The Uzumaki clan? Asked Naruto with Pine's body going stiff once more. Your head isn't the usual red hair of the clan, replied Pine with Naruto smirking at him. My hair is from my father's side of the family, but my mother was an Uzumaki, and she was the previous Jinchuriki before myself, answered Naruto with Pine's eyes widening in surprise. I see. There was only one Uzumaki in Konoha before you and her name was Kushina, said Pine with Naruto nodding. Yeah. The man you called Toby broke Kyuubi out of his prison to be controlled so he could attack Konoha the night I was born. The asshole never told you that, did he? Said Naruto with Pine's eyes narrowing. He failed to mention that part regarding his connection to Konoha, answered Pine while Naruto nodded in understanding. Indeed. Did he also tell you about his plans for all 9 Bijou? That once they were in the statue and basically screw you over with his moon eye plan to turn himself into a god that enslaves all humanity? Asked Naruto with Conan looking from Naruto to Pine and then back to the blonde Uzumaki. No. The idea was to use the statue as a weapon of ultimate power and force the world to become peaceful, answered Pine and Naruto shook his head. All you will do is force them into a different kind of slavery. Do what I say or die, is not something you should try since it will make some people crazy enough to oppose you in the long run. Toby's plan is to have absolute rule without opposition with the removal of free will. My plan is by far better than I've already got it underway in making the world unite under my banner, explained Naruto with Pine's eyes widening. I see. While your concept is more humane, it will not bring everlasting peace, and time has a way of destroying things, countered Pine and Naruto smirked at him. Like your way is any better? Or Toby's for that matter? How long would it be before the people rally to fight your organization's tyranny? How long can Toby keep people locked in that state of serving him? Even he would run out chakra one day and be forced to end the illusion long enough to recharge with the people acting quickly to prevent it. Besides, do you really want to kill so many innocent Jinchuriki for your dream? Were you even going to bring any of them back to life to possibly live without their bijou sealed inside their bodies? Asked Naruto while Pine said nothing for a moment. I had not considered the idea, answered Pine with Naruto shaking his head. These Jinchuriki didn't have a say in whether or not they wanted to become one. It was forced upon them and then they were hated for it simply because they could be hated. Your plan involves taking the bijou from them and then simply dumping their dead bodies somewhere like trash. I didn't think you to betray the beliefs of the Uzumaki clan and be more like the Uchiha or the Senju clan, replied Naruto with Pine looking angry and Konan was doing the same. What do you know of the Uzumaki clan? Pine shot back while Naruto imagined the man behind the puppet body was now crying slightly. I know enough. You see this sword? Replied Naruto while unsheathing the blade and Pine instantly felt his blood burning up for some reason. Is that what I think it is? My Rinnegan tells me it is the genuine article, but I must hear it from you, Pine said while Naruto's sword was emitting crimson yellow energy. The red marking on the flat of the blade glowing crimson, and the Rinnegan saw the very same words it cheated. Praise be the order brought forth from the very edge of chaos. It is the sword of Juubi. From our very homeland of Whirlpool at the base of the tallest mountain. The spirit of Uzumaki Genshin himself appeared before me when I reached for this sword. He taught me everything I would need to know about being an Uzumaki and one worthy of wielding this weapon. Revealed that I was his long-line descendant and that of Six Paths himself, answered Naruto while Pine looked at sword and then at the blonde Uzumaki. You are an Uzumaki. I thought there were more of us outside of myself after Uzumaki Kushina died, replied Pine with Naruto nodding. Itachi said something similar. He was told by the Sandaime Hokage that I wasn't a real Uzumaki, just given the name to honor the woman who once held it before me. Though we both know better now, don't we? Stated Naruto and he could see Pine was digesting his words. I am not like the Uchiha or the Senju, countered Pine with Naruto smirking at him. Prove it. Help me unify the world. I have several major countries, the minors ones, and the other shinobi villages minus Konoha supporting us. All that needs to be removed from the world is Orochimaru, Tobi, and Konoha while forcing the Fire Daimyo to make the liquidation of the Leaf Village legal. I'm asking a member of the Akatsuki, not as the man known as Pine, but as an Uzumaki, and fellow kin to a clan long since believed to be destroyed. This is a chance to unite together and bring about peace and order without the oppressive tyrannical threat of annihilation that comes should the rest of the world choose to oppose it. Replied Naruto with Pine and Konan looking at each other. Konan and myself are the only remaining members of the original Akatsuki before it was twisted by Tobi into what is now, explained Pine. We must handle Tobi first before we go after Konoha and Orochimaru. Since he is the biggest threat to everything I've worked so hard for, it's imperative that the man be taken down, and the other members of the group that still remain. Once we have removed all those that would threaten the vision of peace and order, the world will have a chance to catch his breath, replied Naruto with Pine nodding and looking over at Konan to see the woman was pleased with the idea of the two Uzumakis working together. Konan will remove Zetsu since he is more loyal to Tobi. Hiden and Kakuzu I leave to you while I make plans to handle Tobi when we come together to combat him, said Pine with Naruto nodding since that would work out well for everyone. I must admit Pine, I'm a bit surprised you're siding with me so easily on this matter, and not fighting me for Kyuubi. Why is that? Questioned Naruto seeing Pine's usually empty Rinnegan eyes showing emotion in them. Because you reminded me that we are family you and I. That we blood just a Jinchuriki are bound to each other through the bijou. To extract Kyuubi, the other bijou, and to kill the Jinchuriki for a plan not of my own creation would make me become lower than our related clans. I refuse to stain the honor of the Uzumaki clan. I am Senju or the Uchiha. I am not Pine of the Akatsuki. I am Uzumaki Nagato. I am of Uzumaki blood and I will not betray the convictions or principles of our family. To do so would of scum in the world, exclaimed Nagato with purpose in his voice that he had not possessed in a long time. Good to hear. I will see you again soon. Uzumaki Nagato, replied Naruto before he walked away from the man into the shadows. That name. I haven't been called in so long. It's been so many years now since I was called that name, said Nagato at last before he turned to look at Konan and the woman smiled at him. I agree. It's been many years. One day of not too long in my opinion, Nagato, replied Konan while feeling happy at the idea of calling him by his true name more often. Calling him Pine all the time just felt wrong. Thank you, Conan. But we don't have much time. We have a window of opportunity to act is quickly closing, said Nagato with Conan nodding since that was true. Time was of the essence. Rice Country weeks later. I can't believe this, yelled Orochimaru for all in his base to hear. What is wrong, Orochimaru-sama? Asked Kabuto, seeing the Sannin glaring at the now burned off snake tattoo on his arm and the snake contract taken from him. I've just been informed that I have just had my contract with the snakes removed from my person, explained Orochimaru while cursing whoever did this. So it's happening. Just like the Shogun of Shadows foretold it would. Time to execute phase 2 it seems, thought Kabuto, who made a I'm thinking noise, and it gained the attention of Orochimaru. What is it, Kabuto? Asked Orochimaru with Kabuto inwardly smirking. Well, Orochimaru-sama, if this is the case, perhaps your former teammates are suffering from the lack of summoning too? Our spies have told us that Konoha has been in dire straits for some time, explained Kabuto with Orochimaru's mind thinking over what the medic just said to him. Possibly. The snake that took the contract did say my teammates were in the same boat as me thanks to the Uzumaki brat. Perhaps I should get into contact with them. Yes. The brat is potential and Konoha has made it no real secret of their displeasure towards him. I think it's time to consider making an alliance with my old teammates to further protect ourselves from a common threat. Plus, this will give me a chance to possess Sasuke, and take the Sharingan eyes right from under their nose when it's over, replied Orochimaru, as he let out a cruel laugh. And or when they least expected him to do that filled the old Sannin's heart with joy. All is going according to the Shogun's plan. Gathering all your enemies together in one place and of their own free will to prevent suspicion, before springing the invisible trap they would never see was laid. Truly a cunning master I serve, thought Kabuto, as he stared at the fake one, and saw Orochimaru prepare to have a message sent to Konoha, Akatsuki HQ sometime later. Zetsu was on the ground. He bleeding everywhere. The Akatsuki member was dead. His body cut to piece by Conan within the plant man's very room. Conan had entered under the pretense of speaking to him about a vital mission in the spy for the organization. By the time Zetsu sensed this was not true, it was too late, and the woman had unleashed her power on her paper manipulating abilities on him. He never stood a chance. To keep attention away from the others, Nagato had under the guise of Pine had ordered both Hiden and Kakuzu to seek out the Nibi Jinchuriki. The Uzumaki had sent a message in secret to his fellow Uzumaki with blonde hair. Itachi himself was here at the base to make sure that Tobi wasn't around to stop Conan from killing her target and disposing of the body before he knew what was going on. It's nearly time. Once Hiden and Kakuzu are dead we will wait for Naruto to show up before we kill Tobi, said Nagato while seeing the body of Zetsu be turned into ash with the fire jutsu from Conan. That shouldn't take long. I'll inform Itachi we are nearly ready, replied Conan before leaving the room. Soon the world will know peace and order through Naruto. The major shinobi villages except Konoha are on board, the minor countries, and a few major ones are fully supporting the new cause. Once Konoha is destroyed, no one will wish to oppose the new order, and all that will remain are the various missing nin that need to be rounded up that would try to threaten it in their own way. Thought Nagato while thinking of what Naruto had planned for the future. It was going to be something truly amazing. And guys, this is the end. I hope you enjoyed. See you next time. Disappears in a vortex of chains.